Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Slow English Podcast for Beginners. My name is David, and I'm so happy to have you here with me. If you are new, let me say a big welcome. This podcast is made especially for learners of English at the A1 and A2 level. Here, we speak slowly, clearly, and with simple words. If you listen carefully, you will understand, and step by step, your English will get better every single day. Before we begin, I want to remind you to subscribe to this podcast and turn on the notifications. That way, you will never miss a new episode. Also, if you enjoy this lesson, please share it with a friend who is also learning English. Together, we can make learning English fun and easy. Now, let's talk about today's theme. Our topic is Think in English, Stop Translating. Many English learners have the same problem. Maybe you also feel this. You hear a sentence in English. You understand the meaning. But when you want to answer, your brain first thinks in your language. Then you try to translate. Then you try to speak. And at this moment, you feel nervous. You feel slow. You feel stuck. And sometimes you don't say anything at all. Does this sound familiar? If yes, don't worry. You are not alone. Millions of learners around the world have this same challenge. The good news is that you can change this habit. You can train your brain to think directly in English. And that's what today's podcast is all about. So why is it important to think in English? Let's imagine a simple situation. You are at work and a colleague asks, "Can you help me with this?" If you stop, think in your language, translate, and then try to answer, it feels uncomfortable. But if you think directly in English, your answer comes faster, smoother, and with more confidence. Thinking in English is the key to fluency. But how do we do this? How do we stop translating? The answer is practice. In today's episode, I will give you ideas, examples, and practical tips. I will also give you sentences you can repeat with me, so you start training your brain right now. Another important thing, when you think in English, you don't need perfect grammar. You don't need big words. You just need simple words and clear thoughts. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. So here is what we will do in this podcast. First, we will look at daily examples of how to practice thinking in English. For example, when you wake up, when you go to work, when you eat, or when you walk. We will practice short, easy sentences together. This will help your brain make English your default language. Next, we will talk about simple techniques. For example, how to describe what you see, how to ask yourself questions in English, and how to speak to yourself in English. Don't worry, this is not crazy. Many successful learners use this trick every day. Finally, I will give you a step-by-step plan that you can start today. If you follow it, you will notice a big change in just a few weeks. So my message to you today is this. Stop translating. Start thinking in English. It is possible. You can do it. And today, I will help you start this journey. Now let's begin with our first part. How to practice thinking in English with simple daily sentences. Part 1. Why you should stop translating and start thinking in English. When you are learning English, one of the biggest habits many learners have is translating everything in their head. You hear a word in English, and then you quickly try to find the meaning in your first language. Or, when you want to speak, You think of the sentence in your own language first, and then you try to translate it into English. At first, this feels normal. But the problem is that translation makes your brain slow. It creates a bridge between your language and English, and that bridge takes time. That is why you often understand English but cannot speak quickly. So the question is, how can you stop translating and start thinking directly in English? The first step is to use simple English sentences every day. Do not try to build big, complicated sentences in your mind. If you want to say, I am hungry, just say it in English. Do not first think, je suis faim, or tengo hambre, or ich habe Hunger, and then translate. Instead, teach your brain to go directly to, I am hungry. The more you do this, the faster your brain will make connections. The second step is to surround yourself with English in small ways. For example, when you look at your phone in the morning, say to yourself, I am checking my phone. When you eat breakfast, think, I am eating bread. When you walk to work, say in your mind, I am walking to work. These small actions train your brain to connect daily life with English words. You are not translating, you are thinking in English about your real life. The third step is to use repetition. When you hear or learn a new sentence, repeat it many times in English. Do not try to find the exact translation in your language. Instead, focus on the meaning. For example, the sentence, it's raining outside, should immediately create an image in your head of rain, not a word in your first language. The more you repeat, the more natural it becomes. Another important step is to listen to English slowly and carefully. Podcasts like this one are made for that. When you hear me say a sentence, stop for a second and imagine the picture in your mind. If I say, I am drinking a cup of coffee, do not translate. Just imagine the action. This is how children learn their first language. They do not translate. They connect sounds with actions, images, and feelings. You can do the same with English. Finally, you should practice speaking to yourself in English. You do not always need a partner. When you are alone, describe what you are doing. If you are cleaning your room, say, I am cleaning my room. If you are cooking, say, I am cooking pasta. This self-talk is a powerful method to build the habit of thinking in English. It may feel strange at first, but over time it becomes natural, and your brain will stop translating. So, the first step to stop translating is awareness. Notice when you are translating. Then, replace it with short, simple English sentences. The second step is practice. Use English in small moments every day. And the third step is confidence. Trust your brain to understand without translation. In the next part, we will go deeper and talk about practical exercises you can do every day to think in English naturally. Part 2. Practical steps to start thinking in English. Now, let's move to the practical steps you can take every day to stop translating and start thinking directly in English. Remember, you don't need to be perfect. Thinking in English is like training a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it becomes. So here are some clear, simple techniques you can try. 1. Describe your day in English. When you wake up in the morning, try to describe your actions in English. For example, say to yourself, I am waking up. I am brushing my teeth. I am drinking coffee. You don't need to write these sentences down, just say them in your mind. This practice makes your brain connect everyday actions with English words, without translation. 2. Label the world around you. Look at objects around you and name them in English. For example, this is a chair. This is my phone. This is my notebook. If you don't know a word, don't panic. Quickly check it once in a dictionary, then keep repeating it in your mind. Slowly, you will create a direct connection between the object and the English word. 3. Use short English conversations with yourself. Another great way is to ask and answer small questions in English. For example, what time is it? It's 8 o'clock. What will I do today? I will go to work. This habit helps you think quickly without translation. 4. Watch or listen in English every day. Choose simple videos, podcasts, or songs in English. Listen and repeat short phrases. For example, if you hear, "How are you today?" try to repeat it directly without thinking in your language. I recommend listening for just 10-15 minutes every day. 5. Practice with English in your head. When you are walking, cooking, or waiting for the bus, practice little sentences in your mind. Imagine you are talking to a friend. For example, I am waiting for the bus. The weather is hot today. I want to eat pizza for dinner. These small moments help your brain stay in English. 6. Accept mistakes and keep going. Finally, don't be afraid of mistakes. Thinking in English doesn't mean you are always correct. Sometimes you will miss a word. Sometimes you will mix grammar. That is okay. The goal is not perfection. The goal is practice. Over time, your English will become smoother and more natural. So, in summary, describe your day, label objects, use small conversations, listen daily, think during free time, and accept mistakes. If you practice these steps, slowly you will see your brain switching to English. Dear friends, we have reached the end of today's Slow English podcast with David on the topic, Think in English, Stop Translating. I want to thank you for staying with me until the end. This shows your motivation and commitment to improving your English every day. Let's take a quick review of what we discussed. First, we learned why translating in your head slows you down and creates stress when you want to speak. Translation makes your brain work twice, first in your native language, then in English. And that process blocks fluency. Then, we discovered simple techniques to think directly in English. Practicing with easy words, using daily sentences, making mental images, and surrounding yourself with English in small but regular ways. These strategies help your brain connect ideas directly to English without the need to translate. In part 2, we went deeper into practical exercises. You learned how to describe your day in English, how to ask yourself questions in English, and how to play small games to train your brain. We also explored the power of listening and repeating slowly, using short phrases, and building confidence step by step. The key lesson is clear. Fluency is not about perfection. It is about practice, habit, and confidence. Now, my friend, it is your turn. Start today, not tomorrow. Pick one activity from this podcast and practice it. For example, describe your breakfast in English, or repeat one simple sentence 5 times until it feels natural. Small steps every day will change the way you think and speak. Remember, learning English is a journey, and every little practice brings you closer to your goal. Here is my challenge for you. Spend at least 5 minutes today thinking only in English. Do not translate. It can be about your food, your work, or your plans. Write it down or say it out loud. You will see how powerful it feels. If you enjoyed this podcast, please give it a like. Share it with a friend who also wants to improve their English. And most importantly, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next episodes. Finally, I have prepared a free PDF of this podcast with all the tips and daily exercises. If you want it, just leave a comment below saying, "I want the PDF," and I will make sure you receive it. Thank you once again for listening to this Slow English podcast for beginners. Stay motivated, stay positive, and remember, the more you think in English, the more natural your speaking will become. See you in the next episode!